Alright, so if you were like me when you started Capsim Simulation, you probably didn't know exactly what you were doing, and you may have used the Orange Book or called the helpline to figure out some advice. Well, this right here is going to help you out. And instead of just going and searching the internet looking for strategy videos and picking one, you can actually experiment around and find what works best for you and what's going to give you the best customer score, which also leads to having the best accuracy in your production. So, depending on your instructor, I've set all these constants here, the industry conditions and the buying criteria to what I was using, but I do believe it's very possible they could change it up on you. I know it happened to me once when I did the Capsum challenge, so be on the lookout. If any of this changes, just reference the instructions here and it'll tell you exactly what to do. You look into Courier and you find the instances where it's different and you'll be good to go. All right. We'll come back to the top half of the segment here in a second, but I really want to get down here and tell you what it's all about. So you have your 5 starting categories or segments, and that's going to be traditional, low, high, performance, and size. And then you name each of your products. In this case, it's already named for you, but if you decide to develop anything in the future, you can sure do that. Now, nothing needs to be changed where it says new this year unless you're introducing a product, so just leave these as no. And for the first round, I've already set the defaults far as far as round zero is concerned. Like I said, these could change, so be on the lookout. Now, your revised performance size and the rest of the criteria that you can change is going to be edited right here all the way through the sales budget part and marketing. The revised performance and size, I'm not going to talk strategy here. I'll save that for another video. But whatever you decide to put it at, it's going to affect your score somehow. Whether you actually are able to finish the product that year or whether you're able to finish it in a later year. So, for example, what this spreadsheet recognizes is simply the age and the performance coordinates. So you enter in a number here. It's going to use the distance formula to calculate exactly how far from ideal it is, and it's going to return a value. All right, so moving on over to price, awareness, accessibility, and that. Like this right here, the awareness and accessibility, that's also found in the Courier, and that's going to be your defaults from the year prior. So this is nothing that you actually manually edit, but you can affect them using the promo and sales budget. It actually calculates it here in the awareness and new accessibility columns. The end result is that you're going to have a customer score. So this is obviously, from round zero. So let's go ahead and change right here. We're going to change it to round one. So you have your new coordinates. You have your new price as well. And then we're going to look at the new score. It says 42, which is an average for 12 months. Now, the difference is you have a December customer score that shows up in your Courier. That's important to know, but I'll tell you what, the most important thing is actually your score average, because that's what you're going to produce throughout the year. Take a look though if you want. Here's the December score. It says 44. And if you look at the actual sheet itself, then you'll see that it matches up pretty closely. This is the Eat product, traditional segment, 46 is the customer score, so it's 2 off. In fact, if you were to look at all of them, they're either 1 point off or 2 points off. So anything more than that, then maybe you entered something wrong, but I wouldn't expect any more than 3 points off at any time. All right, so that's enough of that part of the sheet. Let's go back to the overview, and there's a few other things you need to know. The major competitors and segment and average score. This is important because, well, you can't be, you can't really manipulate everything in your favor without knowing what your competitors are thinking. Whether it be a little corporate espionage or just because you have a feeling that you know what they're going to do because they've been trending a certain way, say for example in the practice rounds, then you can estimate what the aggregate total average is going to be for each of your competitors. First off, you enter how many products are going to be in the segment, which the start for all of them is going to be 5. This can change later on. Like traditional tends to get flooded with quite a few products. So does high end, and those are really the major ones. Performance is probably the least favorite, and like I said, I'm not going to go into details, but okay. Estimating your competitor score. So you take your competitors or your own score, and then you kind of figure how far is it going to vary off of mine. If they're really terrible and they, well, there's 2 types of terrible. They could try and start a price war, which is really bad for everyone involved, but for the person who tries to sell low, they're really hurting themselves the most. But the other version of terrible is just they don't really know at all what they're doing. They could have coordinates that are outside the circle, outside the dotted line. There's just many ways that you can screw the simulation up. So take that into consideration, and then maybe you're against somebody who's really on point. Well, let's go ahead and just say that everybody's about the same as us, and we'll give ourselves a little bit of an advantage because we have this spreadsheet. So we're going to say 38. Could be any number around your number though. And it's going to tell you based on that information, and also there's one other field you have to put data in, and that's inventory. So if you look at the inventory from the previous year, that's where you plug it in. So your demand is calculated from the customer score, and then your production schedule is calculated from your opponents and your inventory and all that stuff, just a bunch of factors, and it gives you that number 1514. So you take a look here back at the sheet, and it says 1474 is how many you actually did sell. And what I'm showing you here, by the way, is like an actual Capstone Courier edition. So this data just replicated on the spreadsheet is giving pretty much the same result. Now, 1474, but a stock out, that means that it could have hit that 1500 mark. It could have gone above it, could have gone below it, but what you do know is it's pretty accurate. Okay. So the final thing to take into consideration is going to be your demand penalty, and that's pretty much the main thing. Everything else is just eye candy to some degree. You got your charts here, and they're useful, but the demand penalty is what you want to avoid. You don't want to have a product that has a price out of the range. You don't want to have it positioned out of the range, and you don't want to have the MTBF positioned out of the range. So avoid the demand penalty at all costs. With that said, if you if you would like to have a sample copy of this spreadsheet, you can reach me right here, scott.d.corwin@gmail.com, and I'll also be glad to help you answer any questions that you might have. This is all, I want to emphasize that this is free of charge. I just enjoy trying to help people out. Thank you.